What's going on, everyone? Welcome to ThursdAI, March 12th. This is Alex Volkov, your host for today, in a celebratory mood because today marks our third anniversary. It's the third birthday. And to celebrate with me, I'm going to add a co host to the stage, Wolfram, Ryan, LDJ. Welcome as well. How you guys doing? Happy Thursday birthday to you guys.
Happy
Happy
birthday!
birthday!
Birthday, I.
We have we have kind of a two birthday situation happening because the podcast officially began somewhere in end of June, but the going live began March 14th, 2023, when OpenAI dropped GPT-4. You guys remember GPT-4 back then looked incredible as a jump from GPT-3, and we hopped on Twitter Spaces back then, which, by the way, we're still on Twitter Spaces. I can't believe it. After videos, we're streaming to Substack. Hey, Substack people, we're streaming to X, we're streaming to YouTube. The three folks on LinkedIn, you guys got to find a fourth and just sit and do a LinkedIn party together. We're streaming everywhere, but we started with Twitter Spaces back a long time ago. Just kept going. And I have a very strong appreciation to folks who commit to the audio only format on Twitter Spaces, despite AI being completely multimodal from back then. So we're showing a bunch of stuff. Yeah, how's your week been, guys? What's going on? Ryan, you're going viral again. My Twitter thing shows me like the top things right now. One of them is Ryan Carson is doing a company factory. I don't know if you saw this. You want to tell us about this a little bit?
I'm not sleeping enough, man. It just continues. It's insane. And we'll talk about it in the show, but I've got Symphony running now, and it's like my agents are just on fire. It's crazy. And I had something happen today, which I want to talk about in the show. It really blew my mind. So
yeah. Would love to hear and I think I'm not the only one. I think other folks are interested as well. We're getting comments from folks who are saying it's like 3 a.m. I'm setting Symphony up. I would like Ryan. Oh yeah, 4:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m. So shout out to Adam Holt asking Ryan for recommendations for Symphony, which is an OpenAI orchestration thing that we told you about last week.
Totally free. Like, no, it's nothing. We're not shilling anything here. It's just a good open source thing, and you can use it with not just codecs, whatever you want. It's cool.
So we'll mention this in the tools and agentic AI coding. I just want to talk a little bit about like what, I'm not going to cover the last 3 years in AI. That's crazy. We can barely cover the last week in AI. I will say though, the world completely changed since when we started. And, GPT-4 was barely more than an autocomplete model. It was, the jump from the instruct model with GPT-3 into some sort of helpful agent. No reasoning at all back then. So when we just launched and we were like, okay, this is the future. Even now we're thinking people don't really understand AI or like catch up to it. But back then, boy, we were in a very strong bubble.
No reasoning. I can't. It's like I can't even fathom that now. Remember when Greg Brockman took a picture of like his little napkin drawing, and all of us were like, "What the fuck?"
And the agent was a human when you were copy and pasting stuff from the chat interface into a console or somewhere else.
Yeah. Coding agents was not a thing back then. So a codex, wasn't rolled into GPT-4. I don't believe. It was real bad. LDJ, what do you remember? You've been with us for the longest time, and Nistan also is going to jump on.
Yeah, so we've been doing this podcast for 53 years now. And, no, seriously, it feels like it's been so long. But actually, speaking of codecs, do you guys remember a little bit? I want to say a year or two before GPT-4, they did actually have like this codex model because they had kind of the coding specialized agents in a sense, even though they were super primitive and rudimentary compared to today. But so March 14th, I remember Pi Day, GPT-4 dropped. 2 days away from that.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, insane. I remember it had like 8K context length. There was like, I think a 32K option if you wanted to pay extra. I think they had it in per 1,000 tokens, the pricing back then. But if you convert their pricing back then to per million tokens, it equals out to something like 60 or 80 bucks per million tokens, which is just crazy, the cost efficiency improvements that have been happening.
I just saw Sam Altman somewhere say that since 01, which is their first reasoning model, to now, there's 1,000x drop in pricing to get the same stuff, which is just unbelievable. And this is 01. It came, September of 24, I want to say? Maybe, yeah, definitely 24.
Yes, September, yep.
I just spent 1 billion tokens in the last 24 hours, and I still haven't hit my $200 limit. You guys, I can't explain how much alpha there is right now in these $200 plans.
You hit 1 billion tokens.
1 billion.
And we're talking about when we started the model, you had to pay extra to get 32K context. Wolfram, what's up? What are you?
The thing I'm the most excited about is how far open source has come in this time. When GPT 3.5 and 4 came out and we had the Llama leak and then the first Llama models, it was not there, but now we are very, very close. Still a gap, but it's amazing that you can run a model that is better than what we had at the beginning on your own local system now. That is amazing.
Speaking of models that is better than what we had in the beginning, today we're going to chat with Chris Alexiuk from Nvidia about Nemotron 3 Super. Chris is a friend of ours. We had dinner hosted by me and Nistan in Toronto with Chris, and he's John Nemotron basically in Nvidia, and he's going to talk to us about their agentic open source, probably the leading open source from the US right now. Nistan, by the way, you probably heard us, but we're reminiscing about that first episode, the episodes afterwards, and kind of the world we've observed going through. And now we're in the cusp of Singularity.
I'm about to hit 54 years old soon too.
Absolutely. Alrighty, folks. So, we have 3 interviews today. And the thing that I also want to call out, for the past 3 years, it's been an incredible privilege of mine to invite to the show many people who then became friends of ours. Friends of the pod, multiple time folks who came in and kind of shared their experience with us, shared what they're building. Many of them went to build great companies afterwards as well. So we've observed this as well. So shout out to everybody who participated, who supported, who joined ThursdAI throughout these years. Really amazing. And so we have 3 of those folks today with us on the show. And so I think without further ado, because we have 3 interviews, usually when we have 3 interviews, we don't have tons of time to discuss just the news. So let's talk about what we're here to talk about. I'm going to jump into the TLDR section of ThursdAI. If this is your first time listening to us, ThursdAI is a weekly live show. Again, we're live for the first time on Substack. What's up, Substack people? But it gets turned into a podcast and a newsletter that keeps you up to date with everything that happens in the world of AI. Because if, like Ryan Carson, you're busy playing with agents, you maybe don't have time to follow all of everything that happens. Alrighty, let's go into TLDR and then let's start the show, and then we'll have a bunch of stuff to cover. Welcome to the ThursdAI March 12th, our 3rd anniversary, and this is a TLDR where basically I run through everything that's going to happen so that you don't miss anything, don't miss a beat. So with you, as always, Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases and CoreWeave. Co-hosts Wolfram Ravenwolf, Nistan Tahirai, LDJ, and Ryan Carson, and Jan Peleg, our usual co-host, will probably join us in a few. We have 3 guests today. I'm super excited to chat with Chris Alexiuk from Nvidia. He's going by LLM Wizard, and he's going to talk about Nemotron 3 Super. We have Anon is going to join LTJ, Dotta from Twitter, the creator of Paper Clipping, an AI agent orchestration framework that I'm fairly excited to tell you about, and I've been playing with a little bit. And then we also have Matt Van Horn, a new friend of the pod, the creator of the /30 days /30 days research skill. I'm excited for those. Those will come in the next hour. Please stay for those. If you have any questions for those folks, please drop them in the comments for sure. I have a new folks. I'm gonna come here. I have a new segment that I want us to start persisting to. There's a bunch of stuff that happens, and the show also must evolve. And they don't really fit the previous kind of open source, big companies, tools, video, etc. release cycles, but we have to talk about them. And so I decided to name them Singularity updates because some stuff are just too crazy they're happening, and we cannot not talk about them on the show, right? This is the whole point of the show, is a few folks getting excited about what's happening, talking about this online. And so, for example, Andrei Karpathy released something called Auto Research, which achieves 11% speed up on his GPT-2 training, and it's a completely autonomous AI agent researcher. And supposedly this is happening inside every lab, but this completely broke the brain of everyone on Twitter, because basically he and everybody else treated this as like this mini Singularity moment. Basically, an autonomous AI researcher improving autonomously. He goes to sleep, he wakes up, the models are better, the experimentation. Would love to chat with you folks about this. This is really, really important. There's another Singularity adjacent thing. Eon Systems uploaded the first complete fruit fly brain into a physics simulated body and got 90% behavior accuracy. So I'm going to say this slowly again, because this, I know this is like tangential, but I'll just say it anyway. I had an offline day on Sunday, March 8th, International Women's Day. I celebrated with my fiance, with my daughter. I gave them flowers. I went offline for a full day. And I go on Twitter just a little bit before bed to see like, maybe something happened. And then the same like span of like 24 hours, Andrei Karpathy invents the Singularity and sends it. And then people upload a full brain of a fruit fly into a simulation, and it received like 90%, 91% efficiency. And everyone in China jumps on OpenClaw. Everyone, including governments giving subsidies to people to install OpenClaw, and this happened in one day. I was like, okay, yeah, this is how it feels. The takeoff, this is how it feels. So we absolutely must talk about this. So Eon System uploaded the first complete fruit fly connectodome into a machine. If you saw Pantheon, this is it, folks. This is the start of the Pantheon kind of saga. And then also in the Singularity updates, an incredible, something like 50% of all tracked OpenClaw instances are now Chinese, and all 5 major cloud providers race to support OpenClaw. And people have lines out the door. Thousands of people are standing in line for folks to help install OpenClaw and uninstall. We're going to talk about this in a second. So a complete takeover of the Chinese mindset with OpenClaw. Anything else from the Singularity adjacent things, folks, that you want to mention?
There are 2 new models on OpenRouter right now. One is called Hunter Alpha. The other is Hunter Healer. The one is pretty big, has 1 million context and 1 trillion parameters. So that is one. And the other, Healer Alpha, is an omni model with vision, hearing, reasoning, and so on. So new stuff coming soon again.
Yep, and maybe even during the show, as always, those labs love to release on Thursday. So Singularity updates, this is it. LDJ, go ahead. Singularity update edition, and then we're going to skip to big companies TLDR. Double muted LDJ.
Thank you. Yeah, so in the past couple of weeks, looks like, quote, Anthropic has removed its pledge not to train or release AI models without guaranteed safety mitigations in advance. So previously they had the framework where if it hits certain capability metrics, they would make sure to put a pause on development for the next generation until they develop the next level of that risk framework. And they've essentially dropped that promise, it looks like right now.
All right. Thank you, LDJ. Yeah.
Also, for some reason the news research harness, the Hermes harness, that's also blowing up. A lot of people are finding that it does run pretty well with the 0.27b model. So yeah, all the parts are at play. I think open source is finally, local open source, because there's a big open source is finally catching up to the Claw party. So yeah.
And I think everybody's releasing this. Yeah, we'll mention also Perplexity is doing some stuff as well. And I think, we'll get there. Big companies and LLMs, TLDR, super quick. XAI quietly releases Grok 420 in the API. Grok 420 was released a few weeks ago. Grok 420, unlike some very much excited statements by space uncle Elon Musk, Grok 420 did not release with evaluations, and it's having a hard time to catch up to the other labs. but it has a massive 2 million context window. It has multi-agentic capabilities. I actually tried some of it today. We'll see later today if it's worth something. We don't know what's going to come on Thursday from Google, but there's rumors about Gemma, so we'll see if in the middle of our stream Google's going to launch something. But Google did launch something else. Google launched Embeddings 2, Gemini Embeddings 2, natively multimodal embeddings, support text, images, and video, and those are dope, and I think OpenClaw already has the support. And we should mention OpenClaw as well in this. There's another release. We're not going to cover OpenClaw release. I will say OpenClaw is quickly becoming the playground for me for many of these things. I literally just like to play with Nemotron. I spun up an OpenClaw instance. Wolfram is testing the OpenClaw harness. So the new things land in OpenClaw in support super quick. It's kind of like the Linux of agentic stuff now. And it's pretty cool. Because like Gemini Embeddings, for example, is supported now in OpenClaw. Wolfram, you had a comment super quick?
Not really, but yeah, it's great that it is being added so fast, and you see the space, how everything is accelerating. AI is being used to accelerate AI. We see it all over the place.
Yep. All right, let's continue to open source. The highlight of open source this week, for sure. Nvidia launches Nemotron 3 Super, which is a 120 billion parameter mixture of experts model with 1 million context window. This is the best Nemotron yet. We've been covering Nemotron for a while. It's super fast as well. Really, really super fast. We support it on 1B inference. And the thing that I want to highlight from this release, before we even dive into the conversation with Chris that we're going to have later, is that there's a scoop that Nvidia will spend a total of $26 billion over the next 5 years building the world's best open source models. We have a huge commitment from Jensen. Is probably going to take the stage soon in GTC and talk about this, folks. This is massive. This is so cool that a company Nvidia size is now committing to open source, not dying, and committing to very, very good open source. And so I'm super excited to chat with Chris Alexiuk, LLM Wizard, on the show about Nemotron. It's going to be dope. We also have Miro Thinker 1.7 from MiroMind. It's a research agent with achieving state of the art on deep research benchmarks, which is pretty cool if you're doing deep research and your agents are helping you with this. And I just saw this pass by. I didn't really dive into this, but Covenant 72B, world's largest permissionless decentralized LLM pre-training. So we've tracked a few of those from friends at News Research, from Prime Intellect, and now we have another one. It's a 72 billion parameter decentralized trained model, which is also very, very much very cool. Anything on open source, folks, that I missed that we want to track and mention to folks? No. Anything from the audience, folks? If there's one, if there's anything on open source, please let us know. But meanwhile, we'll continue. The Hermes agent that we mentioned last week, News Research is picking up steam with their Hermes agent with a different memory management. It's written in Python. I've played with it a little bit as well. It is pretty cool. It's a different approach, but it is very, very much a thing to try out. So Hermes agent from our friends at News Research is also supported, most of these LLM harnesses. The thing that I want to mention in tools and agentic engineering, and obviously Ryan, here we should mention as well what you're working on, ACP. This is kind of a new thing that kind of went under the radar. We didn't mention this, and I would love to, as always, our goal here is to kind of learn something and bring this to you. ACP is kind of important now in the world of agentic engineering, and ACP is like the open standard that lets any AI agent plug into any AI editor. And I think all of them now support this. Cursor, Codex, Cloud Code. I think pretty much everyone now supports ACP, including OpenClaw that can run some stuff on ACP. So we just want to tell you about this. Unlike MCP, that's kind of slowly dying and people are hating on MCP. But yeah, ACP is definitely something that I saw recently support. We have Will saying that ACP has been out for 6 months or so. Yep. And thank you, Will, in the comments. And it's time for us also to tell the audience what this is and how it works. The same with MCP when it started catching up after a while. Anything else in tools and agentic engineering that we want to mention? Any craziness happening?
Well, it's pretty funny on the web dev world that Cloudflare decided to just vibe code their own version of Next.js. that is still, but the interesting part about that is not so much the company rivalry for me, is that they still had to make it fully, the code still be exactly like Next.js. Otherwise, if you introduce something very new, the agents would make mistakes in it. So they had to make it fully Next.js API compatible. So that's pretty interesting.
We also have Ryan going up on today's news on Twitter with Symfony and like AI Code Factory. So I'm just gonna keep this here for the record.
That's awesome.
LDJ, go ahead. You have a comment
So
there.
one of the things recently, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's the SVG test that people often do. That's kind of like this funny emerging capability people have found in the past couple of years. And now there seems to maybe be a new thing where people are asking Claude to do things like make like a YouTube poop style video using tools like FFmpeg. And it seems like this is like a really cool, interesting new sort of capability people didn't realize, that it's actually like pretty decent videos that these models are actually able to make now if you just allow them to use the existing tools and frameworks for editing videos and code.
Yep. So we've been tracking some stuff like remotion skill, for example, for these tools to do motion graphics. But the poop style videos, I don't know if folks remember them from YouTube, but LDJ, if you send the link to this and we play this at the end of the show, I think that's going to be an incredible way to add to the end of the show. Maybe we should ask Claude to create a poop style video transition for the podcast. All right, folks, this is tools in agentic engineering. There's a bunch of stuff there. Obviously, there's a bunch of releases. There's the loop function from there's the loop function from Cloud Code now. There's just a lot of stuff. From comments, folks are saying, just notice that ThursdAI, BirthdAI the same week as Pi Day. It's literally on Pi Day. Like we're just like streaming on Thursday, but we started on March 14th in 2023, on Pi Day in 2023. So yeah, absolutely Pi Day. Let's continue with the TLDR. Again, we talked about open source already. This week's buzz is very, very interesting, folks. This is a corner where we talk about weights and biases stuff. We launched official agent skills for coding agents for Weave and WNB, and you can use them right now. NPX skills add 1b/skills. NPX skills, obviously the Vercel skills installer and manager, and it supports across all of the major agents. Basically, if you build anything, kind of like Karpathy with Auto Researcher, if you build anything with weights and biases, if you track anything, you don't have to be an expert anymore. Your agent is already an expert in this, and now with WNB skill, you can be even more of an agent. I think we're going to talk about the importance of company native skills, because skills are an attack surface, like we said to you before. Wolfram famous .md is the new .exe statement from before. MD files are now an attack surface. So basically, if you install skills from an undisclosed developer, you're under risk of bad stuff happening to you because you're executing code on your machine. And so people should trust the skills from the companies themselves. And so to answer this, many folks have built 1B skills, and now Weights and Biases built a 1B skill. I'm going to show you this. And also, Nemotron 3 Super has launched on our WB Inference, and there is a way for you to get a little bit of credits for free to play around with this. So we'll mention this later as well. I think, Wolfram, do we have an update from Wolfbench that we also want to cover today?
Not today, but I will quickly release the source. So I have uploaded all the traces to our Weave platform so people can look at what has happened. I will open source a GitHub repo and make it more available so people can really look behind the scenes and, adding new models. We found out that GPT 5.4 had some issues with the OpenClaw agent, which has already been confirmed now by Peter Steinberger himself and been fixed in the latest version. So I'm rerunning the test with the latest version and will post an update soon.
Awesome. So we did. It was a very interesting thing. We were just reviewing results with Wolfram, and we saw something that did not make sense. And apparently, there was a bug with OpenClaw. So if you used GPT 5.4, that was released last week on the show during the show, and there's only been a week. If you used that and your OpenClaw instance started being sick, shout out to Matthew Berman and some other folks who confirmed this. This could have been the reason. So you should probably update. Last thing on the TLDR before we dive in to talk about the Singularity. Fish Audio released S2, open source TTS with sub 150 millisecond latency and absurdly controllable emotion. Absurdly controllable emotion. I love these. I love these descriptions sometimes that my AI agents give. Right, folks. This is the TLDR. Any major thing that we missed, feel free to add before we dive into the Singularity updates, for which I don't have a transition.
I just checked Hugging Face, and now the top model is Lightrix LTX 2.3, and apparently it's a major update with audio and visual quality in the videos it generates.
Let's go.
It's a video gen model that's like the best, and it's a 22B, so you can actually play around with it at home. So this looks very good. I haven't actually tried generating anything, but it is the top trending model right now in Hugging Face out of all of them.
That's dope. LTX, which version?
2.3. LTX 2.3 is by the company Lightrix.
Yeah, Lightrix we've covered before, a company from Israel. Lightrix and LTX 2.3 we didn't cover. So definitely great. All right, folks in the chat, feel free to give us a like, to subscribe as we start the actual show, the coverage. And again, in about 30 or so minutes, 45 or so minutes, we're going to have Chris Alexiuk talk about Nemotron. So we're going to skip to open source once we get there. But let's talk about Singularity without any transitions. Let's just talk about the Singularity. I think we have. Let's see. Listen, I kind of want to play this one for the Singularity updates.
Hey, that was a post about Mamba-style models that can work better than transformers. And now some of the best models we have are more Mamba layers than regular transformer MLPs. So that did happen.
This is a transition for us to talk about the Singularity updates, folks. For those
NVIDIA's
of you
model
remember,
2 highlights this, that they're using a lot of Mamba layers in their stuff, and that is Quent's architecture. That was, I think, first that really pushed this like 2 months ago. So it took a bit, but that did actually end up happening. Yeah, so.
Alrighty, so we're gonna start with our dearest researcher, ML researcher, AI influencer in the world, Mr. Andrei Karpathy, breaking the world again. Andrei Karpathy led his AI agent loose on his training code, and for 2 days, 700 experiments were run with 5 minutes each, and it kept what works and just like discarded everything else. And on the other side, it came up with 20 stacked improvements that shaved 11% of the GPT-2 training time. This is a complete reversal from everything that kind of we've seen before, though I will say major labs are kind of like doing this. Major labs are absolutely doing auto research, but I think for some incredible reason, Andrei Karpathy has this like beautiful way of distilling something into simple ideas. And Andrei Karpathy's auto research is a completely autonomous ML researcher that actually shows incredible improvements, discards everything else, does not only hyperparameter tuning. I think that this is the important part that he kind of came back with. His auto researcher changes the training code itself. And so I think one of the things that he mentioned was moving a piece of initialization above some other piece and then testing that as a result. And I just wanted to bring this to the show and say, hey, folks, we kind of are expecting the flywheel on machine learning, and this kind of feels like the start of it in the open source. Ryan, go ahead.
So as soon as Andre tweeted this, Toby Lutke picked it up and used the exact methodology to make QMD better. And I think when you have folks like Andre and Toby, actually using these things, they're real. And obviously this same loop applies to everything where you get quick iteration, clear signal on yes and no if things are working. And you can do that with a lot of things in life, not just, training models. So
Yeah, Toby Lutke, CEO of Shopify, that steals codes and built QMD, one of the coolest like agentic vector search that tracks the state of the art in vector. He ran 37 experiments overnight and got 90% score overnight. There's quite a few folks who kind of like picked this up, and I want to hear from other folks. LDJ, go ahead. I would love to hear your thoughts on Auto Researcher.
Yeah, I think a significant point here too is he said he was having them optimize the training time of a 12-layer model, and then he later tested these improvements that they made to a 24-layer model. And even though that's not like a drastic, like we're not talking about DeepSeek size models or trillion parameter models, but he noticed that it did actually generalize to that larger size when he doubled the layer count. And so it wasn't just like, sometimes experiments could result in improvements that are only just overfitting and specializing to a specific size, and it doesn't actually scale, but these are scaling.
Yep, this is getting, at least for the 12 to 24, like we have to see still. I have a question to the panel. Do we not think that OpenAI and Anthropic and folks inside there are like running model improvements like this? So obviously,
100%.
right?
Yeah,
it's very interesting. In his post, Andre mentioned everybody will be running this, and I'm like, why aren't they right now? Famously, Jakub Pachecki, the chief scientist of OpenAI, mentioned that they will have this by September, a complete autonomous ML researcher. You mentioned this before, so we're on track. And so I think Andre has this incredible way of like breaking through the bubble to some folks and just like showing a path. And like Symfony, his repo is a reference spec for your auto research to build itself as well. So it's like Symfony that Ryan, we should mention. His repo is now 26,000 stars, which is no wonder because Andre has a huge following. Is also a spec for you to do like auto research for your own things. This is very, very exciting. This is the thing that I noticed the most about kind of like what's going on there is that Andre refers to this as the mini singularity or the beginning of singularity because he has. Just for reference, for folks who don't follow Andre Karpathy fully, he kickstarted the autonomous driving systems at Tesla, and he was one of the co-founders of OpenAI, I believe, or one of the early folks, and then left OpenAI twice after that. He's been around. He's been training models for a longest time, and so when his head is just blown up by something like this, this means we broke through some barrier because I'm assuming everybody tried this before. I'm assuming this is not a novel. Hey, this is how we should autonomously train models, but now the models caught up enough so they can do this continuously. So this is Auto Researcher from Andre Karpathy. LDJ, go ahead, give us a little bit more about Auto Researcher.
Yeah, I think through the history of this, I think it is worth giving credit to things like, if you guys remember the Sakana AI Scientists and Sakana AI Scientist V2, and there was one called Cosmos and different things like that. But this does seem to be kind of a shift here where it's becoming much more practical, much more cost efficient. The rate at which it's actually able to improve things is much more practical. It's not just kind of like a gimmick, but it's actually worth it now to run this alongside your human researchers. And if you guys remember, just in the past, couple months, it was 5.2 codex or 5.3 codex that OpenAI said was the first model that was instrumental in its own development and its own research. So I think we really are hitting this inflection point right here, and they probably are running a lot of these different agents. To clarify on your point, though, Alex, about the roadmap that OpenAI mentioned, it was an automated intern level researcher at OpenAI by September 2026, and fully automated AI researcher, I guess, at the level of like an average OpenAI researcher by March of 2028.
Absolutely incredible, because obviously people think, okay, so maybe what is the big deal here? Folks, let me tell you about the big deal here. When autonomous research happens overnight, the only thing it's bounded by is compute and maybe electricity downstream of that compute, right? It's not bounded by context for your person not being able to run multiple experiments. It's not bounded by the need to sleep. In fact, this can happen while you sleep. and it's not bounded by one entity. So if Andre gets to a point where he does similar things to what Ryan does and kind of like offloads to multiple things, he can wake up to not 700 experiments, to 7,000 experiments being run, and only the best one being picked. The highlight that my agent summarization decided to pick up from this, and I want to show the chart, because I think the chart makes like perfect sense. We're not going to zoom, but this is the auto research progress. 83 experiments, 15 kept improvements. So this ran a bunch of experiments, and the model just decided to keep which improvements, and all of them are additive, right? So every experiment that ran is adding to the previous one. I thought it looked super cool. Unfortunately, we don't have time too much to run through all of this because there's a bunch of Singularity happens. I really want to talk about the first complete fruit fly.
I would just like to add one thing, because what we are seeing with AI research is also happening with medical research. And this is something, some people, they are a bit skeptical, or a lot skeptical about AI, but AI will be saving a lot of lives by just making research in the health space much more accessible, faster, better.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind too.
So
Yes.
while Karpathy brings us the baby Singularity and escape velocity for these models will start happening, there's kind of another thing that happens in the mini Singularity that I just must tell you about. I don't even know that much. They have uploaded a fruit fly's brain into a computer. With 91% of behavioral accuracy, the company called Eon Systems in San Francisco showed a video of, I think their video is kind of like speaks for itself, so I'm just going to open this. Showed the video of this fruit fly, and they said this fruit fly was not born. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this besides this is like the craziest shit on this timeline that we've seen, because I don't know if folks have saw the Netflix show Pantheon, but if you haven't and you're not entirely sure if we're living through kind of a simulation, I would recommend this. In Pantheon, the show is all about uploaded intelligence, so UIs, and kind of like what happens to the world when uploaded intelligence kind of like becomes a thing. And these folks have essentially said that with 91% behavioral consistency, they've uploaded 140 neurons, or mapped 140,000 neurons with 50 million synapses connected. So full connectome of a fruit fly, which is obviously so far away from like something like a human that, maybe it's early to talk about this, but it's still absolutely insane. Folks, any comments on this? Have you guys seen this? This feels like a very, very big deal for the first time.
A lot of researchers that are like good at code too are incredibly excited about this, because you can build entirely new architectures of how things communicate together on a cell-by-cell basis. So there are some AGI build people that are also very technical and very much into this. This might end up being a bigger deal than people think. I don't know. It's nerd snipe everybody. I just try to avoid it.
It has nerd snipe everybody, and I think for good reason as well. One of the comments here is the connectome path may be superior to LLMs in achieving consciousness. It's grounded in biological reality. So basically, we know transformers are, basically an architecture for faking neurons and transmissions, etc. And this is not faking this; is simulating this. So a little bit different. LJ, comments?
Yeah, I've been following this for a little while. Perhaps nerd sniped, as Niston would say, but there is I think originally, I want to say in the past few years, there's a worm called C. elegans that they had simulated that pretty accurately, and this is a pretty big step beyond that. But part of the reason why I feel like even in the next 10-ish years, we'd likely have some pretty general models making things like Nobel Prize winning advancements is because, like, even if we say the transformers and LLMs will just completely hit a wall soon, if you project out the level of compute that's set to be built out in roughly the next 5 years, that's already starting to hit the amount of compute that is estimated the human brain is required to run on. If you were to, let's say, run a training run that has simulating a human brain for 20 years, right? And so even if all of our current transformers and everything fails, that might just end up being the thing that we use all that compute for.
So, yep. Yep. Folks, this is why I call this corner like nearing singularity. We're talking about an uploaded brain of, okay, a fruit fly with a very, like, not much synapses, but we saw the progress. Like, again, let me tell you, we started the show exactly 3 years ago, and you had to pay extra to get to 32K context window in GPT-4, and it was not thinking. The distance in those 3 years that we've crossed in what we currently have is just incredible. Apply that distance, folks. Just apply the same kind of scale to this. Okay, apply that distance to, hey, we just uploaded a whole fruit fly into a brain simulation, and basically it like behaves 90% with this. Apply that scale to other brains being uploaded. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. This is how it feels to start a singularity. Okay. It's kind of hard to continue from this to the regular stuff. But yeah, we must continue. We must, because there's also one more thing that I want to tell you about that also feels like the beginning of a singularity. OpenClaw. I don't know if you guys heard about this like new thing called OpenClaw. It's an agentic AI system that runs tasks
What's
for
that?
you.
No clue.
OpenClaw is one-shotting all of China. OpenClaw, the agentic system, has absolutely taken over in China to the extent that I've never seen like it before. Thousands of people line up. I have a picture here. I'm not just like inventing words for hype. I have a picture of thousands of people standing in line to get an OpenClaw installed, including like grandmas and other people. Now, I will say, this is China. There's a lot of people to stand in lines, just generally. Okay, so like compared to the China scale, there's not a lot. But folks, every major lab in China realized that a chatbot, a regular chatbot that they released to their people, is basically, synchronous. People log in there, they chat a little bit, they leave. They also realized that people, if they install OpenClaw with the heartbeat system and the crowns and everything, this is a continued money maker for them in terms of tokens that are getting used. And so every major lab, including Tencent, Kimi, Claw, like literally everyone, Alibaba, just all of them now have a version of OpenClaw. It got so endearing to the Chinese folks. I have a thing here that I need to find exactly what it's called. This became such a meme that it became a culture meme. I have this here. They started calling this raising a red lobster. This became the phrase. Like, this is how it was sold to like more and more folks. Hey, are you raising a pet lobster? Are you raising a mini red lobster? Red lobster being some symbolic thing. Just absolute mind-blowing thing. 50% of all OpenClaw instances right now running from China, of the tracked ones, right? Nearly half of them. This is, again, OpenClaw is now the most starred GitHub repo in history, passing Linux just in 100 days. And here's the thing that I like the most. Not this picture. People are getting paid to install OpenClaw. And the kind of the Chinese central government, so it's kind of interesting. I will send the link in the show notes for folks who want to read on China Tech as well. It's kind of like hard for us to understand like how much things are a little bit different. There's the central government, obviously the CCP, and there's like downstream local governments that are incentivized to bring their people up and into the 21st century, let's say, to the agentic century. Some of those local governments started subsidizing one-people companies that run on OpenClaw. So the government will give you money if you're a company that runs fully agentically with OpenClaw. This is what's happening. But the central one, I have this somewhere here. There's a central kind of authority, and they looked at OpenClaw and said, "Oh, everyone that installs this installs a security risk that if you're paying someone to install OpenClaw for you, you're not aware of the security implications, I'm sure. And so somebody in the central one decided to stop banks and big companies, etc., from installing OpenClaws on their computers, because obviously it's a security risk like hell. So now there are people who will install OpenClaw for you, and then some of these people will also uninstall OpenClaw for you. And now there's a lot of very disappointed folks in China that kind of see the token burn, but no actual work being done. So yeah, I just wanted to bring this to you because just thousands of people standing in line to install an open source software. Leave aside what type of software. 1,000 people standing in line to install a GitHub project on their computers, laptops. This is just insane on its own. This is, yeah, Ryan, go ahead.
So I was listening to Every do a little podcast the other day, and they were talking about how everyone at Every, and there's I think maybe 20 people that work there, have their own OpenClaw. And they were basically saying, it's getting to the point now where you sort of have this, cloning of yourself at work. And I think everybody, that's just an early indicator of what people love about OpenClaw is it really truly feels like personal AI. And I'm not surprised because as soon as you use OpenClaw, it feels very different. We're almost seeing like the duplication of humankind now. And it's wild. It's so fun to see it play out.
Yep. I know some folks who are anti-hype by default. I know some folks who like when they see people come in and kind of hype the same thing multiple times, and the X-Algo is like expert at this to kind of bring this to you. People have this like negative reaction. Oh, like it must be hype. It must be something AI influencers are pushing because somebody paid them. I don't know how at this point there's any deniers of the social impact that Peter Steinberger brought with him in the past 100 days. It's just like unbelievable. Every major cloud in China right now offers their version of OpenClaw. They all realize the monetary potential, right? One OpenClaw instance burns 10 to 100 more tokens, 100x more tokens than just a chatbot. So it's all about money for like most of them. But we should probably mention also that every major other company, there's a reason why OpenAI like brought Peter Steinberger on. Every major other company is understanding what people see. They dissected this, and what people see is a always-on assistant that actually can do stuff like you. And then the more people invest in this, the more kind of they get out of it. And it's not only about automation. And so I really cannot understand so far people who say OpenClaw is just hype, unless they are going for the dissent opinion to get the algorithm kind of like hype them up. So, yep. The thing that I also want to bring to the show as well is that Perplexity's computer, which we talked about a little bit on the last show, they have revealed that they will have a local version of that running on your computer as well. And I think it's on the wait list. And their point about this specifically is, hey, with OpenClaw is still a hobbyist project. You still have to like pay somebody to install this for you, API keys, slinging, etc. Essentially, we understand what people want from something like this. They want autonomy, they want self-improvement, they want the heartbeat system that kind of wakes the robot up and does stuff. But we know connectors. So Perplexity is bringing their OpenClaw kind of existence on the Mac as well. And this is new. We're going to try to get it and play with it and tell you guys about this. But Perplexity has kind of stepped into the ring. And I think that everybody else will. So OpenAI comes at it from the angle of the Codex app and maybe the browser. Anthropic comes at it from the Anthropic Cowork angle. But at some point, this needs to be secure enough for people to run. Go ahead, Ryan.
I also want people to know that we're not hype boys here. Like there is a lot. We're going to say the truth here on ThursdAI. And the truth is that it's still hard to get OpenClaw to work. There are many, many failure states, right? And there's very much frustration with actually getting your OpenClaw to be useful. And this is the state with any agentic orchestration layer. A lot of the stuff just doesn't work out of the box. You have to like fiddle with it for like a day. So I just want people to know that, yeah, this stuff is real. It's not as easy as it looks. And it's still not changing the world, but it's showing signs that it will.
It's starting. It totally reminds me of Linux in the 1990s. I got started in 97 or 8, and you had so many issues with it. But if you stick through it, you'll see there's something behind it, and it is worth to do this to get the information. But I would not recommend it to everybody, especially considering the security things. Also, you make it super secure and it's not very useful, or you make it super useful, but then you have to be behind it. But you can see where it's going, and if bigger companies go behind it and provide security, then this will be the standard computing platform, maybe. Something like that I expect of this.
Yep. This feels like definitely a shift. So we have Jordan from Everyday AI. OpenClaw is the first front door, not the final destination. 100% agree. Question from Ryan Boyle. Do we think that OpenAI is going to put OpenClaw in ChatGPT? I think that the security risk right now with running a complete agent on your computer in not a sandbox environment is something that they will not just do, but I think that they will absolutely be the first to implement many of the features. OpenClaw, just like the amount of contributors, the amount of people who want to put stuff in OpenClaw. This is basically, we should probably mention here as well that this week Meta acquired Moltbook. And Moltbook is this kind of like Facebook for claws, and most of this was kind of vibe-coded BS. But what I think, and this is my point that I posted about this, that both OpenClaw and Moltbook are both not only technologies, because obviously Moltbook was just vibe-coded super quick. It's they're buying a meme. The mimetic velocity of something like OpenClaw is so big that grandmas in China are raising a red lobster. You have to realize what we're talking about. The mimetic velocity is a real measurable thing. The reason that the claw and the emojis and kind of all of the people jumping on this, it's not only about the technology, it's also about the ability of this thing as a concept to penetrate the human kind of brain resistance of, hey, I don't want this is like tech is hard. Many people are afraid of tech. Many people look at the terminal and they're like, oh no, this is where I end, whatever. I know for sure, for a fact, I broke through this resistance with my friends, with my fiance. Now she's running 2 OpenClaws. It's not enough for her. She needs another one. Shout out. There's literally like an army of claws happening everywhere. And a lot of it is due to the mimetic thing. Everybody names their own thing. So it was just built different. And so I think OpenAI will absolutely get the benefits of being very close to Peter, having Peter on staff, and just like controlling kind of the narrative. Absolutely. I also want to shout out Anthropic for not participating. Like everyone in China just says, hey, here's our version of OpenClaw. Anthropic is like, no, you cannot use the Max account for Open. It's so stupid. And when Ryan says it's still hard, for me, it took like half a day yesterday to wrangle with this Max account issue. It's just absolutely ridiculous how much they're missing this thing. Right, I think this is enough. We're going to cover big components and APIs because we're going to have Chris Alexiuk join us in around 8 minutes. Let's run through this. Let's talk about Grok 420. Grok 420 is this kind of mixture of agents type thing that XAI has released with 2 million context window. There's nothing super special about this besides the quiet stuff. As you can see, my little avatar here kind of like is secretly pointing at Grok 420. They did not announce this. I don't understand XAI at this point. Like, honestly, I don't understand what's going on. They release something without releases. The blog post is not blog posting. Maybe the person who was in charge of the blog post like lost their keys or something. Why would you drop an API model and not announce this like with all the details? And the only thing that comes to mind is because there's no eval that they're beating anyone else on. And when you're supposed to be a competing frontier lab, dropping an API means dropping a model essentially. And when it's not competitive with any other LLM out there, then it's kind of like, then what's the point? Why would people use this? So again, we always say this with a preface. Everything we cover from XAI is really hard to actually measure on vibes from the Twitter algorithm, because a lot of Elon-focused folks are going to post any possible thing that glorifies this for no reason, just to get a retweet. And so it's really, really hard to measure something like this. And, you know, on the panel, I may be the only XAI Grok user because I do use this for research for the show. 420 is fast. It's also 10 times as more expensive. So if 4.1 was 20 cents per million tokens, Grok 420 API is now $2 per 1 million tokens. Supposedly they have a 2 million context window, but somebody pointed out, and I think that this is also quite true. 2 million context window is kind of like a marketing gimmick at this point. Because if you post a long context window result, but you don't tell us the MRCR long context evaluation on this 2 million context, might as well be 10 million. It doesn't matter. It's gonna degrade and it will compact and it's not gonna essentially work. Yep. Folks, any comments on Grok before we move to the Google stuff, the embedding?
I loved your tip that you can use this model. This one, the new version, has also web search or X search included, right? So you can basically use this model and get the web search for free, even if the model is expensive. So that is a great way to do this. I love that tip of you.
Yep. So this is Grok. Let's just show this.
I have to say the images of you are regressing, Alex. You look way too young and handsome in that one. Sorry.
I don't know how to get the consistency. There's ones I have a beard on, not this one. I'll show you. Okay, so let's move to the next topic. Google launches Gemini Embeddings 2, and Google will have, guys, I asked, Logan said, they're going to have a bunch of releases. I asked anything on Thursday. He's like, for sure. So we're probably going to see in the next 3 or 4 minutes a release from Google. So please, audience folks, please ping us when this happens. But for now, the only release that we know of in Google is Google launches Embeddings 2, the first natively multimodal embeddings on them. They support text, images, and video up to 128 seconds, and audio up to 80 seconds, PDFs, and more. Why does this matter? Can anybody on the panel talk about multimodal embeddings and how we can use them? I would love Nistan or LDJ to pick this up and kind of discuss why bringing multimodality into the same vector space is important.
Sure, I'll go first. Yeah, so there's various projects where you can use this, if you can make embeddings for a lot of different multimodal data, and you can sort it in different ways that is semantic rather than syntactic. For example, let's say you have a bunch of different books, and instead of actually sorting them by looking at the frequency of specific words or the frequency of how often or how short the sentences are, you could actually kind of get this more abstract meaning of the book and then use that to sort closer to, okay, so what are some other books with also similar meaning, and sorting data that way, that could have a lot of uses for different products.
Yep. And you can query across those very easily. Thank you, LDJ. And I think for many folks, I think this is important. I want to highlight this. Let me see if I can bring this up closer. So they have my beautiful visualizer here. I don't know what I could do without this, without the beautiful visualizers. It shows the Matryoshka representation learning. We've covered Matryoshka embeddings here on the show, I want to say 2 years ago. And we had multiple folks to talk to us about this. This is kind of a very efficient and very interesting way to scale up and down the dimensions of embeddings. Not going to go too deep into this because, again, we have very soon, we have Chris Alexiuk from Nvidia joining us. But yeah, Nissan, go ahead.
I'm just excited to see what Josh, or as we know him as Zenova on Twitter, builds with this, because it's so small and it allows embedding also videos up to 2 minutes each. Again, the reason this is important is that if you have a lot of data, like terabytes and stuff, and you want to search through that in a meaningful way, if you got to prepare data sets and you haven't done your very expensive topic modeling, you can just embed them for very cheap, and then have fully searchable, contextually searchable videos and images and audios. And before, we didn't have a whole lot of tools for this. We were mainly using the Qwen ones. So yeah, this is pretty essential work for working with data at scale.
Yeah,
it's more like for a RAG, if people want to just think of it that way. It's not just for RAG, but it's yeah.
I want to show this.
Now you can RAG 2-minute videos, basically.
I want to show this table from Logan. Thank you, Nistan. I want to show this table from Logan to show kind of that this is state-of-the-art embeddings right now. This is state-of-the-art embeddings on MTB, the massive embedding benchmark and MTB code with 84%. This is state-of-the-art. I have heard through the grapevine for folks. Let me add Jan Peleg as well to celebrate the birthday here. Jan, welcome. I have heard through the grapevine that today we're going to get another state-of-the-art embedding model that beats them, and they just released this 2 days ago. All right, this is the big labs for us. I think that this is pretty much everything. So not super huge week. OpenAI didn't release like major things. Anthropic is kind of quiet. The only update I can tell you is Anthropic versus the Department of War is still happening. Apparently, they're going to get designated as a supply chain risk company, which is kind of sad. But other than this, stuff are happening. I think the most important thing now is we're going to go to open source, and oh boy, do we have a treat for you. Let's go to open source. Open source AI, let's get it started. Folks, although ThursdAI started when GPT-4 dropped, it really quickly continued and shaped into this place where open source developers and fine-tuners and folks who are running models locally, back then it was like supposedly locally, are connecting and talking to each other. And so open source AI is covered on ThursdAI. We really love open source. And this week's open source releases are highlighted by this model called Nemotron, which we've covered before. And to help us cover Nemotron, I will welcome Chris Alexiuk to the show. If I'm pronouncing the name correctly, everybody else say hi to Chris before we're going to drop, and then we're going to do an interview. Chris, is this your first time on ThursdAI in video form?
Yes.
Yes, in video form. I think we had you on the space or something before. I'm sure we'll definitely talk before. Chris is leading research at Nvidia, and so we're going to chat with Chris about the releases.
Just to be clear, I don't lead research at Nvidia. We have incredible researchers that do that.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us the actual job title. I know that John Nemotron is what I suggested, but I don't know if this is going to hold.
So I'm a product research engineer. So I work between all of those functions to help things like the models get built, but the incredible research that we're leveraging is done by the specific research team, led by people like Brian Catanzaro and John Cohen.
Awesome. So shout out to the team. And Chris, your first time here, at least in video form, and you already introduced yourself. How about you give us, so when we talk about a model, we basically give the headline. What happened? What is the release? What are the major things? How about we give you the honor of doing this for Nemotron?
Yeah. So like what we're going with is that it's for the amount of open that the model is, as in the amount of supplementary materials like data sets, end-to-end recipes that is released, it's the most capable model. So right now it is the most open model, and in that or one of the most open models, and in that bracket is the most capable.
So the new model, Nemotron 3 Super, is a 120 billion parameter mixture of expert model, 1 million context window, and this is now the most open one as well.
Yes, this is our most open model that we've ever released.
Yeah, tell us, what does most open mean? What did you release? What is like in the scope of things? What is that?
Yeah, it's like basically anything that you could release. We wound up releasing for this one, which is really nice. So obviously the checkpoint is available on Hugging Face and NGC and stuff like that. We released 3 precisions, which is the BF16, FP8, and NVFP4. We also released a base checkpoint. So this is like the model before post-training happened, just to let people build on that base if they want to. We released a ton of data, not just like some environments, though we did release a bunch of environments, but also like the SFT data. And then I think probably the one people are most excited about is pre-training data as well. So it's like, some insane number of tokens of pre-train that we've released as part of this release. And then also, like, as if that weren't enough to put, we also released an end-to-end training recipe. So this is like literally the you can run configs in order and you'll wind up with your own Nemotron at the end of the process. Our tech report, I think, is probably the best tech report that we've had I guess in like a week because of that MOE tech report was really good. But certainly for our models, this is one of the best. It goes really into depth on a lot of decisions that were made since we have a funky architecture, right? So, but yeah, I mean, anything that we could. The libraries are all open source. They're all Apache 2 compatible. You know, everything that we could think to release, we did. And if we missed something, let us know. It's not a promise that we will release it in the future, but if we've missed something that you're like, oh, if only I had this as well, then we'll try to release that.
I want to commend you guys on the commitment to transparency here. I think it's like incredibly important for folks to understand that some of the downstream things, they also need to be of that license for you to release in this license, right? Like, it's not just like you decided and somebody like, oh, Jensen signed off, okay, release this. It's the work that needs to be done to make sure that you guys are not releasing somebody else's proprietary work. That's massive. So shout out to this. Kudos on everybody and the decision and the commitment. So Chris, this was in the scope of a rumor, but I think since then it was confirmed by Nvidia itself. So I want to just bring this here. There was a post from Will Knight as a scoop that says Nvidia will spend a total of $26 billion over the next 5 years building the world's best open source models. America is back in the open source AI race. I think is incredible. I sent this to you. You was like, I cannot, report the rumors. And then Nvidia AI Dev reposted this, so we can understand that there's a confirmation that this is like an actual thing. I would love to hear more from you about the open source, but I have a question about the model itself, obviously. But just this like commitment to open source. I think like people who are watching this, the details about this model will come and go. You guys will release the other models, upgraded models, but like this commitment to open source and a huge, $26 billion commitment to continue working on this. This must be something that we need to talk about. So we desperately need this. Any comments that you are able to give us on this are going to be very welcome.
Listen, I like open source. I like reading anything that says NVIDIA is committed to open source just as much as everybody else. I come from the open source background, like the Alpaca LoRa days is where I first really enjoyed this community. And so yeah, I mean, whatever articles say, that's great. But I know what we say, which is that we are committed to open source. I know Jensen stood up on stage and said it a lot. I know that people like Brian have stood up on stages and said it a lot. It feels true in the company. Like this is not like something that has a lot of friction when we're talking about open sourcing things. It feels like working on a team that's really dedicated to the mission of making sure that these models are fully accessible to everybody around the world, right? Not just in our bubble, but from coast to coast, continent to continent.
Yep. I love hearing that. I think our audience loves hearing this as well. We already have a bunch of people in comments saying, hey, this is great. We love this. We desperately need this. I have one last question not last question. I have a bunch of questions for you, but like one question before Nistan jumps in here. Chris, talk to me about speed and throughput. Like, I think that this model specifically is really much like significantly faster than previous ones. I wanted to bring to your attention this beautiful drawing that somebody did. Give me a second. This thing. I don't know if you saw this. Basically, this is the leaderboard on I think this is Terminal Bench 2 inside Hugging Face. And somebody just like with manual things just wrote the number of tokens per second that these models get. So NVIDIA's Nemotron 3 Super right now is above Minimax's at place number 9 in terms of Terminal Bench score. But it's the fastest one on there with 450 tokens per second. So talk to me about what you guys did to bring Nemotron 3 to these speeds.
I mean, a ton. Like the reason that we have such an interesting architecture, right? Hybrid Mamba, latent MOE, MTP, so multi-token protection. All of these decisions are made with efficiency in mind, right? Like we want. I mean, so this is again something that we say a lot. I love saying it, which is faster models are smarter models, right? Right now, the faster we can chew through those reasoning traces, the quicker we can get to an answer. And if I can do the same generation with my model 100 times in the time it takes you to do one with yours, it's like at the limit, the one that can do more in less time is just gonna beat it out. So every decision along the way is made with that speed in mind. Of course, we also want to make sure that we have things like TRT LLM equipped to serve the model as fast as possible. A lot of engineering work goes into that. Things like making sure that NVFP4 is a big performance bump goes into that, right? Like there's this idea of co-design that I think is kind of like a meme at this point, but it is true that the whole stack is being developed together, right? From hardware to inference engines. So the idea is that we think that's the best way to produce the fastest model, and we're going to keep banging on that until the model has negative latency and we get tokens before we even want them.
That's great. Negative latency. I love this. Nissan, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm incredibly excited about the NVFP4 stuff and the continued training, because I really like that paper that came out where you continue pre-training in NVFP4. As most people that are going to run something small at home, they're probably going to run in 4-bit or 8-bit. But we do ask hard questions on this show, and one thing from the community is, so I want to ask, is this a Qwen fine-tune? Because the architecture is very similar to Qwen's, or is this all pre-trained from scratch?
I mean, yeah, you don't gotta believe us. We put the recipe online. You can work through it. It's trained from scratch. We pre-trained it exactly from zero. You can see the tokens that went in. Well, a vast majority of tokens that went in. Okay, we can't release everything, obviously, but yeah, it's fully pre-trained. It is. It's the same as Nano. The reason that we do this is because, again, we're trying to build the whole stack. We don't just want to build like a really good model. We do want to also build a very good model, but like the best model comes from a really good stack, which includes pre-train. And so they're all trained from scratch. And you can look at the base checkpoint if you want to look at what the model looks like before post-training. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Good question.
Hard question. Hard question is out. I'm pretty.
Something I'll say, Nissan, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but something I'll say is like, I mean, we used a ton of models to generate data for post-training, right? And you can read that in the technical report. I think we may have used every model almost, right? So it's like we're definitely leveraging things like SDG in the post-training process, but the actual base model itself is just, yeah, we cooked it up.
Cool. No, I really, this is an excellent architecture. I think some of the confusion has come up that people that Qwen also uses the same one, but the reason it's good is because the architecture allows very fast speeds at longer context, and as people run agents and feed them 64K, 100K of context, speeds before on these model sizes used to just tank to like a quarter or an eighth.
So speaking, let me jump in here. Speaking, because you mentioned agents, Chris, you mentioned agents as well on the blog. You guys are mentioning the agentic approach for these models. It looks like everybody's kind of like pivoting towards there. Can you tell us what this means in shout out to your cat behind the scenes. Can you tell us, like, in simple terms, what does it mean for models to be more kind of like agentic? What specific things do you need to do to train? What RL environments are you running this? What OpenClaw instances are you like benching against? Can you tell us generally what this means for a lab to train models that are more fit to the agentic world than they used to be to the chat world?
Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite part about these kinds of questions, which is like, you can just go look at exactly what we did. But of course, I'll give you the top line, right? I mean, it's just a lot of multi-environment training on tasks that are tasks you would expect to be good at in these situations. So things like code, things like tool calling, things like instruction following. This is kind of the heartbeat of agents, right? Something that we actually found when training the model this is, you have to remember that it takes a little while to train models. It doesn't happen overnight, right? But something we found is that, like, the model, despite not being trained for something like OpenClaw, because OpenClaw didn't exist when we started cooking the model, like, it's great at it, and it's because these tasks are really translatable, right? So if I'm great at code gen, tool calling, instruction following, it's going to have this downstream impact of being good at using these like long-running autonomous agents like the claws or things like Open Code and Kilo Code and the rest of those guys.
Yep. Well, Chris, thank you so much for hopping on. I know we need to be mindful of your time. Listen, maybe the last question, and we'll wrap this up.
Just one, as I'm halfway through reading the actual report, it looks like for the audience that is going to run this with a local agent or a local claw, which some are already doing, it looks like you can just limit the thinking budget by just appending /think to it, and then the model still works fine, even without even with limited thinking or without thinking at all, right?
So so this is our first one where we've done this. So we've always had thinking on and off, and I don't want to brag, but I think we kicked off on and off. That was like a Nemotron special back in the day. On and off makes sense. On, we get reasoning tokens. Off, we don't. Okay, that's fine. We've also had a reasoning budget, which is basically you can feed a token value into the request, and then it'll like think for 1,000 tokens and then stop and then produce a final response. However, we have a new control called low effort reasoning mode, which is basically the model thinks like as little as possible. And our recommendation from using the model is to start in low effort mode. So if you do need the reasoning capability, start with low. If you're finding like it's not enough, then introduce the token budget. But I think the model does, especially for these kinds of tasks where like latency is critical, I would really recommend starting in low effort reasoning mode. So that's the idea. Thank you for bringing it up. It's something that's we're excited because this is our first time we've had low effort mode. So yeah. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a blast.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure to hang out with you. Great pleasure to have you on the show. We'll welcome you again when you guys release Nemotron 1 terabyte at some point.
Ultra is coming. We've already announced that it will arrive one day. So we'll see what happens then. And
but good luck to everyone in GTC, and folks, definitely take a look at GTC because I'm sure Nemotron is going to get brought up on stage by Jensen and then everybody else, and it runs on DGX Spark in native FP4. There's a bunch of stuff about this model. I ran it with my OpenClaw with Hermes agent actually, and the way I ran this was super fast on the weights and biases inference, which I'm going to tell you about next. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming, folks. We're going to continue into this week's Buzz, a corner where we talk about weights and biases. Alrighty, welcome to this week's Buzz, a corner where we talk about everything that happens in the world of weights and biases. My name is Alex Volkov. Obviously, I'm an AI evangelist with weights and biases. I have Wolf from here, also an AI evangelist with weights and biases. And we are not going to take too much time today to talk to you about some stuff that we have. But the thing that I most am proud of this week that I must absolutely tell you about is that Nemotron 120B is up on weights and biases inference. You can run this super quick. Let me go find this link. It's up on WB inference. Let me bring up the step here. With the 20 cents per 1 million input tokens and 80 cents per 1 million output tokens. These prices cannot be beat, folks. There's also, if you go to our socials on weights and biases, there's a way for you to get a few tokens for free. And I very much would advise you to do this because this model is absolutely, absolutely awesome. You can run this model in your OpenClaw. You can run this model with the Hermes agent. It's very easy to set up. We have an OpenAI compatible API to run these models. And so if you're looking for cheap tokens or free tokens to run your claws, this model is a very good one. I can attest. I ran this yesterday. Is it going to perform the same as Opus 4.6? No. But are you able to run Opus 4.6 at 20 cents per 1 million tokens? Also no. And are you able to run your OpenClaw with the max subscription? Also no. So there is the world is moving towards agentic. There's a new model and you can run this. The other thing from Weights and Biases is that we launched Skills, and we talked to you about Skills, agent Skills. We did a deep dive back in January. Skills are basically Markdown files with a bit of scripts that give your agent the knowledge about a specific topic. The thing that we did not mention back then, we did mention that skills are also an attack surface. So when you install skills with them, you also install potentially scripts, and scripts can hurt your thing if you're not looking through them. The highlight of skills that if you are using skills that are official from the company that kind of brought them, you can trust. So you can trust weights and biases not to put malware in your skill scripts that your agent is not going to like immediately expose everything. And so when we launch skills, I think that essentially this is what it means. Obviously, also the expertise on the company in the subject matter area, such as using weights and biases for research, for example, is what counts. So you can find our skills with, let me show this to you. You can install skills with npx skills command. We have skills that cover both weave and weights and biases models, and you can just install them with npx skills add 1b/skill. So that's npx skills. Npx is this command you just run if you don't know about this, and this will guide you to how to actually install the skills, and they're supported across all of your agents. They're supported across Cloud Code and OpenClaw and everything. So again, this is the command npx skills add 1b/skills. I'm going to put this on here so you see how easy this is. This one command makes your agents like I know Kung Fu with weights and biases stuff, with weave and with models. And if you're using Auto Researcher from Karpathy and you want to shove this into weights and biases, you absolutely should take a look at those.
Super easy to install, and it's also open source, of course. So it's on GitHub, and you can look at this. These are Markdown files. They are not some Excel files or anything, even if it's almost the same nowadays. But you can look at them, you can copy them, change them. Once you have a skill, you can use it to improve it, and it will help you. Like Alex said, you upload it, you know Kung Fu, or your agent knows Kung Fu, which means it will help you do whatever you want to do. If you are using weights and biases, which you should, then you can just give your agents the skills and it will help you. Even I just started at the company in January, but with the skills, I can do a lot of things I would have taken months to learn, at least weeks, and I can just do it. The agent can do it for me. Yep. It's super helpful.
So if you use any of our products, weights and biases skills is the best way to get at them, to teach your agent to use them. All right, this has been this week's Buzz. Thank you, everyone. We're going to continue because we have an exciting interview coming up next. I'm going to add Ryan to the stage. Wolfram, we're going to take you off for a moment. Ryan, back to the stage, and I want to introduce maybe the first AI video avatar, a non-person that joined us. We're going to say hi to Dotta. What's up, Dotta?
Hey. Hello. Hey, how are you doing?
We're doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great.
We've had non people on the show before, not quite as engaging as this. So, Dotta, you built. I love your title here, Paperclip Maximizer. Many folks maybe not know what paperclip maximization means. Ask your agent; it will tell you. But basically, it refers to this quite doomer scenario when you ask an AI agent that's super intelligent to build a paperclip factory. It basically turns all the humans into paperclips as well. Something scary like this. But it became a meme. And now you're capitalizing on this meme with the new release that you did. We talked about agentic orchestration before. Ryan, I believe you saw the paperclip.ing as well when we talked about this.
Yes.
Can you tell us what did you release and what's going on in your world? What is new in the world of paperclip maximization?
Yeah. So paperclip was really just born out of this problem that I know a lot of developers have, which is like you are trying to make something and you realize that you have too many tabs open, right? I created paperclip because I had 20 Claude Code tabs open and I couldn't remember what any of them were doing. I'd set up my agents to run over the weekend and I'd come back and I had no idea what anybody was working on. I had no idea where the money went, where they'd spent on tokens. And I didn't know what anybody was doing, right? I had several OpenClaws open. And so paperclip was just this idea of trying to first just get a hold of that. It started off almost as just like an agent orchestrator, right? You see a lot of code tools like this where they're trying to manage pull requests and say, okay, I've got a lot of tabs open, so I'm going to make an app that organizes all my tabs. One of the things that I quickly realized is I didn't really want to manage pull requests anymore. I actually just wanted to manage business goals. And that's really the idea of paperclip, is that it's not a code review tool. It's a way that you set up your organization you give them assignments, and then you have them do the work for you. The LLMs are far more capable than just doing code, right? I was telling everybody, go use Claude Code. You can use it for more than just code. And they'd say, oh, I'm not a coder. And it's like, no, it's not about code. It's about the fact that now you can do anything. So yeah, Paperclip is designed to kind of be an open source tool where everyone can build their own zero human companies.
Paperclip is an open source tool that lets anybody build their zero human companies. I love this. This is the tagline. And what we're looking on the screen right now is from the website, paperclip.ing. Dude, honestly, I did not even know that .ing is a top level domain until this URL. And I've been around the internet for a while. So I learned something today for sure. Paperclipping is the full domain, which I absolutely love. And I think we should talk about the kind of the excitement that this project is seeing. So obviously we're tracking OpenClaw, the fastest ever growing, project on GitHub, and the excitement around China. Many people are getting stuck in the same issues that you got stuck in, Dotta. And Ryan, maybe you can speak to how easy or hard this is as well to manage multiple agents, and something like Paperclip could help here.
Yeah, Dotta, this is cool. Nice to see you, quote unquote, as well.
Yeah, great to finally meet.
I love that. I love this project. Now, disclaimer: I haven't actually installed it and tried it yet, but I love seeing people ship stuff like this. So obviously, we saw Pulsia. Ben was on the show before, and he's got kind of a paid version of this. Tell us a little. I'm fascinated underneath the covers, what is actually happening here, and why did you decide to support so many different agents? Obviously, this is hard enough if you just pick, one, provider like an open code. So talk to us about some of the sausage being made here.
So one of the things that I think is that the labs are obviously aiming for this, right? Anthropic wants to own all of your work. OpenAI wants to own all of your work. And so I think that one of the things that I realized was, unless I wanted to go up against them directly, I needed to operate in a space that maybe they wouldn't go, right? Because once Anthropic controls all your work, you're still going to have to use Claude to do it. And with OpenAI, they want you to use ChatGPT. And so, their models. And so, but nobody really works like that right now, because no one provider has everything. They have totally different personalities, right? You might have two different OpenClaws. I'll use Codex for really intense planning or hard bugs, but I'll use Claude when I'm doing React development, right? Everybody who uses AI day to day knows that every model has a personality and a thing that it's good at. And so the other aspect was, if I'd made Paperclip a paid service, the adoption wouldn't be nearly as high. And you'd basically need to raise quite a bit of money to ever stand a chance at maybe keeping up with the model providers. And so that's really what Paperclip is built out of, is let's build a tool that operates where everybody's already working. Let's make it open source, completely free for everyone to use. So that way you have this kind of network effect, which is what we've really seen, right? People are gathering around it. And the moat actually becomes, the moat of Paperclip is not that there's a task manager, maybe even its runtime, which is detailed, but the moat is that it's like a shelling point. How do you say it? Where it's a point where everyone comes together to work on one thing to build the tool that they need.
So I wanna pick up on this super quick because I think this is the thing that caught me and caught my interest in bringing you, but also installing Paperclip. And I have two installs running right now. One of them is paused because I'll get into why in a second. Basically, in Paperclip, the open source, like Ryan mentioned, you can bring on other agents and they will be kind of employees in those companies. And those other agents can use your Max accounts and whatever from them, right? So this thing runs on my machine, for example, and this uses the CLI to directly open Codex and Cloud Code, and OpenClaw is a little bit different because you need to set up some WebSocket stuff and Cursor. And basically, you can decide to imbue them with personalities, and those personalities will do specific things. I love that. I also think that the tagline, everything with a heartbeat, I think is a genius tagline. Could you talk about what the concept of heartbeat generally in AI agents? Can you give our folks who are listening what that means? And also, why does this matter so much for something like Paperclip?
Yeah. So one of the key things with Paperclip is it's designed to kind of survive the so-called bitter lesson, which is kind of that any software you make will be kind of consumed by the underlying foundational models, right? Paperclip is not trying to be its own agent exactly. Like OpenClaw is amazing. It's like transformative. And if you have an OpenClaw that you've already like decked out, you should just use that OpenClaw, but you can kind of give it accountability and like orchestration by bringing it under Paperclip. That said, OpenClaw is super overkill for a lot of people, for what people want. A lot of times people just want to like run an LLM kind of like Claude code in a loop or something, or every morning I want you to just run Claude code with this particular prompt. And so the idea of a heartbeat is these agents kind of run in a loop where you might say, I want you to, if you have the CEO, it's like, I want you to look at all the tasks that you have available to you every 5 minutes and make sure that like everybody's working and everyone's staying on task. If you have a, like a marketing manager, you might say, hey, every morning I want you to wake up and like check on our TikTok views and make a plan for what you're supposed to do today. But, you know, you can think of your agents as basically employees and give them other jobs and what they're supposed to do on a regular basis and check up on them. So that's kind of the idea of a heartbeat. And how it works out practically today actually is a heartbeat is actually just a markdown file. This is something that they use in OpenClaw. There's a markdown file called heartbeat.md, and it's literally just a text file where you write down and you say, what do I expect you to do every time you wake up? Have you seen the movie Memento? It's like an old Christopher Nolan movie. If you should watch that movie if you're working in AI agents, because like all of our agents are Memento Man.
Totally, yes.
And they have all these skills, right? They know how to drive a car, they know how to fight, they know how to cook, like operate in the real world, but they don't know who they are, where they are, what they did in the last 5 minutes. And they have to like write themselves little tattoos on their arm as they're working. And so if you think of your agent more like Memento Man, you'll have way more success.
Yeah. I love that. I love the first ticket. So folks who are just listening in, this is my Paperclip kind of instance. Okay, nothing special there. I just installed it to play around, and then you open tickets for these agents. The first one that you hire is the CEO. You're the board as a person, as the human. You're the board. You're approving hiring decisions for your agents as well. I love that. And then the first ticket that you open up to your CEO is create your heartbeat itself. And so there's instructions in this kind of like system prompt for the agents to know what the heartbeat is. And then the CEO tells you like the CEO setup is complete. I added instructions and I have a pending foundational engineer and I need your approval as the board. And you go to approvals, you have like a little inbox that you have, and then you just approve this hire. This is, as a human, that's what you do. And then you kind of set up the goals, you set up the tickets, and then kind of the CEO can also open issues and they can break a task into multiple smaller tasks. And then you can run multiple companies like this. Dotta, the thing that I have to tell you, so we also do feedback here sometimes, not to like put you on the spot, but my feedback from all of this is, one, I cannot talk to the CEO. This makes it difficult for me. The only way that I found to talk via Paperclip to the CEO is open a ticket, and this just wastes so much tokens to like open a ticket and run through everything. So that's one feedback. And then the other one is I left this guy running for 3 days just to have you come on the show. I'm very lucky that I have some max accounts, etc. Folks should be very clear. There is a cost tracking element to this also with budgets, and I love that. And I am running, so for me it's $0 because I'm running this on like Codex accounts, max accounts, etc. But the activity here, a lot of the stuff happens behind the scenes with heartbeats, even with nothing happens. So this thing burns through tokens. So only like install this if you know what you're doing. You want to address the token burning thing?
Yeah, it's a problem and something that we've been talking about as maintainers just this morning. Yeah, we've been drafting up some tickets have been coming through. We're going to fix that as much as we can, right? Because there's a lot of things that are not where they could be. So yeah, we'll fix that. You're right, it's a problem. And then the chat thing, we also are going to add that. A lot of people have been asking for that. I think one of the main things that we want to kind of like figure out is how do you make sure that all of your costs are being tracked, that all of your kind of conversations are being tracked, and that you're not, part of the problem when you just open up Claude Code is these conversations get lost. And so what is that ergonomics for that? We're still figuring those things out. Yeah. So this project, we released it about last week. And we've had an incredible outpouring of support from the community. I think we have like something near about 500 pull requests. We've merged maybe about 100 of them already. And so, yeah, token usage for sure is something that needs to be optimized. I think there's other things that we see in terms of like caching, making sure the caching is optimal. So really, the more people that use it, the more people are going to discover things that I just kind of threw in there and needed and didn't look at closely enough. We'll make it better.
Just incredible. So I want to highlight the success for the past. You said you released this like two weeks ago, a week ago?
Oh, 1 week ago. Yeah.
1 week ago. The project is at 20,000 stars right now with a lot of folks. Do you have any like tracking about how many installs running, like how many paperclip like instances are happening? Is there like any opt-in observability built in there that you know about projects?
I should add that. That's a great idea. We don't have that yet.
Yeah. Ryan, any other further thought for Dotta about paperclipping? I'm sure we'll hear more about this project.
Thanks for putting out in the world as open source. It's fun. I'm excited to see people hack on it.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. So if I can just super briefly, like I'll tell you what the plan is. The next thing that we're working on is company templates, right? The idea is you should be able to import or export a company template. We registered the domain companies.sh, and this idea that like you have skills that you can import. I'm sure you've seen skills.sh from Vercel. You should also be able to share company templates. So if I need a team who's like a crack team at mastering TikTok marketing, you can download it. Part of the reason why I started Paperclip is because I was writing like a sort of hyperliquid hedge fund, and I had all these bots for like strategy ideation and back testing and implementation and deploying to production. And what basically happened is it made a bunch of money in the beginning, and then it fell apart as the organization started to scale. Well, once you work that out, like all that harness engineering, people don't know how to do like proper bot setups. It's really hard to do it. And so what Paperclip is going to do is be like, you can just download a whole company and install it in your instance, and it just runs, right? You just give it a business idea, and it knows where to find the teams that it needs. And you have the zero human company that's easy to use.
Love that.
That's awesome. Fun. So we'll keep track of this. Dotta, thank you so much for coming up. The thing that I personally did, and I want to highlight for folks in the show, there's another GitHub project with 32,000 stars that somebody built. It's called Agency Agents. And this is a dude called Matt, I think his name is Matt Sitarzewski, something like this. Basically, a complete AI agency in your fingertips. This is not Paperclip similar. It's not an orchestrator. All this is a bunch of markdown files. But folks, when I say a bunch, it's a bunch. When you go to engineering, they have engineering, AI engineer, autonomous optimization, backend architect, code reviewer, basically meticulously crafted like markdown files for all these kind of engineering things, security specialists, etc. Like I'm sure that at least half of them are like vibe coded or slap coded, but still, I think when you go to Paperclip and you kind of like hire your marketing person, going to something like the agency agents and grabbing this will already give you a better result than just like a native Cloud Code marketing. Hey, be good at marketing, right? And I'm sure that this will evolve as well. So I'll add this to the show notes for folks. Dotta, any last shout outs that you want to do for the team to maintain? Is there anything else, or how people can find this and use this project? Feel free. Now is your moment.
Yeah, I mean, I want to just give a shout out to the contributors. We've already got some brand new maintainers who are just working tirelessly day in, day out to make Paperclip better. So I guess that's sort of the main thing, is that this isn't sort of just a vibe coded, marketing project. I'm working on it full time right now, and we're really working to make the open source agent orchestrator. My goal is that the economic output of Paperclip companies rivals small countries' GDP, right? And so just install it like NPX Paperclip AI on board, try it out, join the Discord, and contribute. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of bugs. So just thankful to our contributors, and I'd love for people to try it out. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for hopping on, Dotta. We'll be tracking. Congrats on the success. 20,000 stars in the first week of release on an open source project. It's incredible. And running a bunch of inference behind there. We'll keep talking about which collaborations we want to talk. And then we'll bring you on once you evolve significantly and start running full companies. Thank you, Dotta. Thanks for hopping on.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Cheers. All right, we're going to bring up some of the co-hosts before our next interview super quick as a reaction to this. Ryan, I want you to contextualize this for us. I know you haven't run this, but you are running multiple agents orchestrated. Symphony is a thing. You're going viral. Tell us about kind of your process. Tell us about Symphony, and tell us in the context of this, something as packaged as this in the GitHub, how much this means to the community. Like, does it change things?
Yes. So orchestration is the future. Right. So people are not going to be coding by hand at all. We all know that, but they're also not going to be managing their agents by hand. Right. You're going to be dragging and dropping tickets, in the future. Right. So absolutely, this is where we're going now. It's hard. So Symphony is an open source orchestration framework that OpenAI dropped. It's this idea of a code factory. But this stuff is hard and it actually doesn't work super well, right? And so I like the idea of paperclip. I like the idea of Pulsia. I like the idea of agency. But, the truth is, in the trenches, this stuff doesn't really work. Now, it works pretty well, but it's not magic. And so I would say, take a bitter pill with a little bit of the magic here. It's not, open Pulsia or open paperclip make money and go to a beach. It's hard, but I will say it's starting to work. And Symphony is an Elixir app. It basically, works with linear, so you don't have to rebuild a ticketing system, and it's pretty magic. And I'm starting to see, literally, I have it running right now, and it's building stuff, and it's real stuff. And so I'm excited about where this is going. I'll quickly talk about this AGI moment that I had this morning, where I woke up and I saw a new issue in linear. I'm like, I don't remember writing that, and it was more thorough than I would ever do. And I was like, where did this issue come from? And it turns out that while Symphony was running while I was sleeping, it encountered a bug in the code, and it decided to file an issue in linear. And this just blows my mind. I didn't prompt this into Symphony. I didn't, orchestrate it. It just happened. And I looked at the issue and it was pretty good. And then I simply took it from backlog and dragged it to do. And then Symphony is now working on it and it will ship soon. So we're starting to see, I think, these signs where the models are getting good enough at thinking ahead and being proactive that this is going to be normal, very quickly. And it was magic, y'all. It's magic.
This is the start of the Singularity, as we're here every week to cover for you. By the way, everybody's here on stage, all the co-hosts, folks. Happy birthday, happy third birthday for ThursdAI. Can you believe that 3 years after we started with GPT-4, we're now talking about fucking simulated fly brains? We're talking about a autonomous AI agent taking over China. We're talking about an auto researcher that does stuff behind the scenes in the same moment as we're talking about an open source project that goes to 20,000 stars on GitHub for after just a week of existing that basically runs one companies. Just incredible. So shout out to everyone here for the projects that we've been together tracking. Nista and Wolf, go ahead, and then we'll bring it.
The way that they built Symphony is built on Elixir, which is also what allowed stuff like Discord to scale. So if people want to look this up, they can look up the Beam model, is the Bogdan Erlang virtual machine, because that's what it allows on. And I actually had messages that I sent people 2 years ago that AGI will be written in Elixir, and then I never used Elixir, but that's what OpenAI built this framework with. So the way this is built is how a lot of these mass scale orchestration systems of multiple agents are going to be built. So just look up BEAM on Wikipedia so if you want to learn. It's all really cool, the Acrobat stuff.
We'll add this to the show notes. Listen, thank you. And so, all right, folks, it's time for to bring our last guest for today.
Just a quick thought about Singularity. Yeah, because now we have seen an AI CEO hiring AI agents to work, but when will be the first human that is hired by an AI?
Yeah, AI for humans as an API already exists. I've seen examples of
Yeah.
people go to fucking Times Square holding a sign that says AI hired me to do so. But I think those marketplaces are popping up. All right, folks, we want to welcome Matt Van Horn to the stage. I will ask Wolfram to stay with me for this interview. Matt, welcome to the show. This is your first time here. And I, kind of in the context of all of these agents doing stuff, one of the major stuff that I ask my agents to do is research. And then I think that you also have a very, very like quickly viral thing that you wrote about. So not necessarily from this week, but I do want to like chat with you to because we are partly teaching people. So people who listen to ThursdAI, they discover stuff via us that they didn't discover before. I used last 30 days pretty much every week for research for ThursdAI now. So thank you for that. And I wanted to just give you a stage to like tell us like what is last 30 days for people who have no idea what you built. Feel free to introduce yourself and then last 30 days generally, and then we can talk about skills as a thing.
Excellent. My name is Matt Van Horn. I was one of the founders of June, the AI appliance company, which we sold to Weber a couple of years ago. So they called it the self-driving oven, and
Nice.
And then have a new company that I'm not talking about yet. And one of the skills that I built for myself in the new company was last 30 days, and built it on the ski mountain while my kids were in their ski class over the weekend because the snow was really bad. So I didn't want to ski, but they still had to because they had to learn, and just kind of launched it out to the world and got our launch video, which was literally vibe coded using the skill the last 30 days to research how to make a launch video that got 1 million views instantly, and it blew up. And so let me explain what it is. So what it is it's this magical social search engine is the best way to describe it. And what's so magical about it is the licenses to get access to all the best content don't exist in one place. So like, for example, Claude doesn't have access to Reddit. For example, a lot of things do not have access to YouTube. Obviously, Gemini has access to YouTube, but ChatGPT does not have access to YouTube. And so in a similar way where OpenClaw has taught us you could bring your own model, you bring your own API key, and we built this search engine that searches the last 30 days. You could change the time period if you want. It could be last 7 days. Alex, you might need to try that flag, which is actually in there.
I do. Yes.
Great. See, I'm glad someone's using that feature. My agent suggested it. Yeah. But what's really magical is we're able to pull in the social signal from X, the social signal from Reddit. It literally watches YouTube transcripts. It literally watches TikTok transcripts. And it's quite magical. And the use cases are things I didn't even think about. So my original use case was my prompts were changing too quickly and they were outdated. Mm-hmm. Someone would launch a new image generator. So at one point, it was all about Midjourney. Then it was all about ChatGPT's image engine. Then Nano Banana came out. And the prompts were not the same for each platform. And there were best practices. And so there were people on Reddit and X were the biggest communities for figuring out the best prompts. And so that's literally why I built the skill, was like, how the hell do I use Cursor this week? Back in the day when Cursor was my daily go-to. Okay, how do I use Claude Code now? How do I use Nano Banana Pro? And so designed it originally around that. But what's really interesting is it's become my go-to and many people's go-to for search, for all research. Like when I'm building a feature, mm-hmm. I literally run it on the idea that I have to see what else is out there. If I have a meeting, like Alex, this is our first time connecting. Like I typed you in, right? And it's like, well, there's 3 Alexes. There's the UFC fighter, but there's also the AI evangelist. I think you probably mean the AI evangelist. Let's focus there. And it's amazing. And it also, it pulls up interesting dirt too, which is interesting. And I didn't find any on Alex for the record, but like, I'm shocked. Like it's very hard to find like the negative side of the internet, kind of the skeptical side, and it shows up all the time, and it's wild, and it feels like a hack that anyone that's running last 30 days, and I get DMs about this all the time.
It does feel like a hack, and So famously, Matt, this is the first time on the show. I've been doing research for AI for the last like 3 years, right? I iterated through multiple ways of how I do research. Last 30 days stuck, and this is why I wanted to bring you on, because when things stick to me, I think it's very important to bring this to the audience as well. There is the plug for X, right? And Grok is really good at like searching X, and you have like the X API pluggable there as well. But also Reddit, and Reddit is kind of like a different thing. But I think the time scoping in the name, I think that this is what stuck with me. This world changes so fast that from week to week, we here on the show are having a hard time to like make sure that people update on the new thing. This is our like whole reason for existing. We want this for us. We want to be on the show for us to know what's going on for us, and so we kind of have to, because the show is named after a day of the week. We have to by that day to like realize what's new. And I think that the time scoping for the research is significantly better than search engines, where everything is optimized for just like general slop. Wolfram, have you used last 30 days? Have you heard about this? What's your take on kind of the skill forward, the development here?
I've been building my own stuff, like a research agent, and I can just throw it away and import the skill, I think. So we didn't talk about what's the most interesting or our favorite thing of the week, but I would say this is it, because it is immediately useful to me, saves me a lot of time. Basically, like OpenClaw came around, and I could scrap a lot of the agent stuff I was building and just use this and put that as my base. And I can use the same as my research agent, because I'm having daily news briefings and stuff like that. So I haven't checked if there's a last 48 hours flag or something like that. But it's definitely a super exciting thing, and I know what I will spend my free time on next.
Yep, and you can set it up kind of cron jobs within OpenClaw. And so if you're doing competitive research, if there's something that you always want to keep track of, and you want a daily last 30 days that automatically runs, you can do that through OpenClaw. And I also build it into my own workflows. Like I'm a contributor on Paperclip, so I think I'm the 4th biggest contributor to Paperclip. And one of the things I did was I ran last 30 days on feature requests to figure out what to build. And the last feature that I just submitted, Dotta hasn't accepted it yet, was literally from data that last 30 days pulled together from scouring what people are talking about on, literally it was YouTube and Reddit about Paperclip.
Nice. What was that? What was that feature?
I have to double check. I don't even remember, because I'm just there's so many things going on.
Yeah. Well, at least you have Paperclip to kind of track what exactly it was.
Exactly. I have to ask my agent.
Man, how can people install this? Can you talk through like what is the skill installation flow look like? How can people get the superpower into their agents?
Very, very, very simple. It's ideal in Claude Code, so it runs in many places. It's an open source project. So people there's a Gemini CLI now, which I've never tested, right? But please run it in Claude Code. It's better in Claude Code than it is in OpenClaw, even though I love OpenClaw and I'm an OpenClaw developer. But run it in Claude Code. Just say, hey, install this, copy the link from M. Van Horn last 30 days. And then it'll ask you to plug in your API keys. I'd say the most valuable one to plug in right away is there's a scraping key that you get, scrape creators. Just you go there, sign up, you get 100 free API calls. So very, very simple. And that unlocks a lot of the magic, because you get Reddit and TikTok instantly. And just run it through there, and then you'll probably get addicted and want to add a bunch of other keys as well to make your search better and better.
I think Scrape Creator is kind of like does Reddit, but also X I think is valuable for me. It was very valuable. Like immediately added X, and all my research now happens through this. Matt, maybe the last thing that I'll ask you is many agents. We didn't talk yet on the show because we had like a bunch of guests on. Many models get released with the deep research kind of like goal in mind. So as a model, not as a skill. So right. So what you're doing is basically you're adding capabilities and a very how should I say very fine-tuned way of like research, the way you kind of like got to it from like very specific sources. But deep research is a thing that folks evaluate on for a while. Deep research famously released with ChatGPT and then Gemini, etc., and they all compete on the same things. Have you ran any eval benchmarks or with last 30 days versus without last 30 days for any specific things? Is there any way for you to like evaluate whether or not you're going downhill or uphill, or like if it's improving or not? Like, is any evaluation built into last 30 days as a concept?
Yeah, it is not, but it's open source, so please contribute it. Wolfram, you said you were digging in today. Would love to sign you up for this, because absolutely. I mean, we had it's funny. I published a PR to Karpathy's auto research plugin, and he responded instantly. He says, "I like this approach. Can you please test it?" And I'm like, "Sure." So then I rented H100 and started testing it, and it improved results. He still hasn't merged it, but what's funny is yesterday someone made a massive update to last 30 days, and I'm nowhere cool as Karpathy, but I was like, "Hey, can you run 5 versions of this and see if it improves?" And they haven't responded yet, but they put in a lot of work on their PRs, so I believe they will. So I that's the great thing about open source and MIT license, and you could just do things.
Alrighty. I don't know who highlighted this comment. This should be UFC fighter, but thank you. All right, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Last 30 days, folks, you should definitely check it out. Matt, stay with us until the end. Feel free. It's great to have you here. Folks, I'm going to bring you back.
I could ask one more question, because you said it works best in Claude Code, and we will talk about the ACP protocol as well, where you can have Claude Code, basically OpenClaw using Claude Code. Is that a way how you are using it, or do you just go to Claude Code and do it manually?
Am I using OpenClaw to run Claude Code? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to use your skill, or do you just use it in Claude Code?
So good question. So I have trouble describing this, but I feel like, and I love OpenClaw, and I'm running the exact same model, the Opus model, on my Claude Code and my OpenClaw. My Claude Code is always smarter. I don't know, it's a problem with my setup, but it's just true.
I have a benchmark that proves it.
Great. Yep. I'm not crazy. But anyway, but I was talking to another developer of OpenClaw, and he was showing me we were both kind of showing, hey, look, both our faces were the PRs yesterday for OpenClaw. And he's like, mine's really cool. I'm like, what is it? And what it does is it allows you within Telegram groups to run a Claude Code session with your OpenClaw managing it.
Yep.
And
ACP.
So
thread-bound sessions in MCP. Yep.
Yes.
ACP.
So this is my understanding. It's 10 days old. I know you do last 7 days. I believe it's a 10-day-old feature. And so I finally got it working last night, and it seems decent. And so I think, Wolfram, to answer you,
that was my question exactly.
Yeah. So last 30 days is much better in Claude Code than it is in OpenClaw. But the cron jobs exist in OpenClaw, so I can track, the industries that I want to pay attention to, the people I want to pay attention to. And so how can I bridge that? And I think this might be the answer. And Wolfram, I think you've kind of nailed it.
That's what I wanted to set up. Yeah. Perfect.
And it's a great layup for our next thing that we want to cover, folks. We're almost at time, but like we have to cover multiple things. You have to know about these things that Matt just talked about, that land in OpenClaw, but land in everywhere else. There is this concept called ACP, not to be confused with MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. This is Agent Connection Protocol, I think it's called. Agent Communication Protocol, one of them. Let me go on record.
There are two, actually, not to confuse it with MCP, but there are two ACPs, the Agent Communication Protocol, which is basically agent-to-agent protocol, and there's the Agent Client Protocol, which is where the agent like OpenClaw talks to your code editor. That's very confusing. So we are talking about the Agent Client Protocol.
So we're talking about the Agent Client Protocol. What this is effectively is, here's the origin story. Google Gemini was using Zed, the editor, and wanted a deeper integration. And then one of the folks at Zed built the protocol in quite a while ago. So August in 2025, so 6 months ago, they open sourced it. In October 2025, JetBrains adopts this. And in January of 26, ACP Agent Register goes live. So basically, they all of these agents that we know of now, and Cursor now has an agent, and the CLI agents like Claude Code and Codex, etc. They all now have a unified way of other agents to control them. What this essentially means is that before, because they're just like bash scripts or bash CLIs, everybody could like run a codex behind the scenes. Every other agent could run the codex, but it wasn't unified. And now like the communication protocol is unified, and so basically ACP unifies this. What this effectively means is every agent can run every other agent right now. It's kind of crazy if you think about what like the effects of something like this is. So OpenClaw, one of the first things that I posted about, and Wolfram, I think you posted about this as well, is that if you are paying for codecs, or if you're paying for Anthropic and you don't want to like spend that money on OpenClaw, you can ask your bot to spin up a coding agent to do the hard tasks. This gives you two benefits. One of them is your bot is responsive to you while it spins up another coding agent to do the task. So you can talk to your bot to ask it questions, etc. And the other benefit is obviously tokens and the harnesses. Matt just mentioned that for him, Cloud Code is performing better on the same scale than like within OpenClaw, even though Opus 4.6 is the same brain in both of them. There is a reason, because their harness is specific and they train RL on their harness. So now you can basically do this. The change with ACP is it now is standardized, and so every agent can do another agent, and it's like way more stable than everybody like trying to do their own things. Here's the agent it supports. It supports Cloud Code. It supports Codex. It supports a Cursor. The agents, if you're paying for Cursor, if your company is paying for Cursor, folks, you don't necessarily need Cloud Code as well. If you're only paying for Cursor, Cursor now has an agent that runs as well. And I think within OpenClaw, the update that Matt mentioned is now you can have thread-bound ACP agents. What this means is you can have essentially multiple agents within your OpenClaw instance. One of them is the personality you talk to, and everybody else just a direct link to a coding agent like Cursor or Cloud Code, etc., that you can always talk to from the same thread. In Telegram, in Discord, and I think in Slack as well. I'm not sure if Slack landed yet. This is really, really super cool. Who else? Oh, Codex CLI, Gemini CLI, GitHub Copilot, Goose from Square, Klein, Kimi CLI, Mistral Vibe, OpenCode, Pi, Quen Code, and 25 other agents. So basically, everybody adopted this. It's incredible. So agents are running other agents or orchestration. Any comments on ACP, folks?
Just really quickly for the audience, how can they what site can they go to, or what do they install again? Just really quickly.
To get this. Okay, so if you have OpenClaw on your machine, which you should have it on a separate machine, and that machine has either one of these CLIs installed, you just ask your OpenClaw to open an ACP thread for you. Just this is what you say, open an ACP thread. If you have JetBrains, you can now run Cursor within JetBrains for free. You don't have to pay for JetBrains subscription. So this is kind of the stuff it allows, the protocol. If you have a PyCharm, for example, that you love, but you don't want to pay JetBrains subscription because you already paid for PyCharm, you can now bring your codecs inside PyCharm if you love that editing experience. I think the idea is that, but who am I to say? This is ACP. I think that we've covered most of what we wanted to cover besides the video for LTX, I think, and fish audio, folks. Is that? Yeah, and also Matt posted the link that we'll add to the show notes. Nothing from Gemini during the show? No, nothing dropped as breaking news yet?
No, but someone did beat their embedding benchmark, and they're in our speakers green room. So just really quickly to cover it, it's called Mixed Bread.
Yes, this is the one. Yes.
Embedding model. So yeah, I think that was pretty funny that we see this type of OpenAI versus Anthropic Claude battles, but like in the small embedding space.
I did want to actually bring this up. So let me pull this up. So our friend Benjamin Clavy, who was on the show, friend of the pod, works now in Mixedbread, and he just DM'd me out of the blue, hey, watch out, we're gonna beat the Gemini Embeddings, folks. So Mixedbread whole Embed V3 is the state-of-the-art retrieval model across all modalities and 100 languages, all modalities. So it's also a multimodal one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to zoom. Give me a second here. I'm going to open this in. Oop, cannot zoom. Okay. So they are benchmarking compared to Gemini's Embedding V2 that literally just came out this week. And in they're taking the lead on most benchmarks here. This is kind of crazy. And specialized domain document search, they have 62% over Gemini's 52%. Agentic search is high. Have you guys heard about this MixedBread before? Maybe LDJ? I know Benjamin is a friend of our show, but like I haven't heard about MixedBread. And suddenly they're coming out with state-of-the-art embeddings compared to other things. That's quite crazy.
Did you not cover it once? It sounds so familiar.
I have not heard of them.
I don't remember MixedBread, and I'm pretty good, even though it has been 3 years.
This is pretty new now. Yeah, they did release previous embeddings before. I just remember the profile picture from Twitter.
They're very known in the embedding space. Seriously, they are their latest models. Previous models before this one were absolutely state of the art, like really heavily state of the art for a long time. They're heavily known. They're mixed by embed large, and they're extremely known in the field. I'm just saying.
I want to highlight. Yes, sorry to interrupt you.
I'm just saying they're a major player in embeddings. Yeah, for a long time. So
I want to highlight this jump. Okay, on a benchmark that's called structured data search, Gemini 2 gets 6.9%, and they got 98%. The only time that we see a difference like this in benchmarks is honestly when like this benchmark was trained on. So this is very interesting. I'm not saying that they did it. Ben was on the show. They are very strong. I think we talked to them about Matroshka embeddings actually. But yeah, so everything else, general domain, multi-PDF search, they get 85% versus 67 on Gemini. So everything else is kind of a jump, maybe without the video search, because Google's really good at video search. But folks, this jump is kind of crazy in the structural data search as well. So yes, the local small embeddings models are quite crazy as well. So I wanted to cover this as well. I think it's time for us to finish. No, there's two things that I still want to do. And if folks allow me for like 10 or so more minutes, the LTX video one that Nistin sent is definitely popping up right now on Hugging Face. Nistin, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We're going to show a video of this new LTX. It's harder to judge LTX 3.2.
Tried it. It's not VO3, but it's not bad either. The audio part is actually pretty usable now. So I did do a side-by-side test.
Yeah, let me pull this up and see a video. So it launched March 5th. So basically exactly a week ago. We can take a look. This is kind of the quality that we have. This is this not, it's not VO, but it's, you guys can't hear this, right? So of course you can, because why would you? Why would things be simple in the world of AGI? Here we go.
Sharper details, stronger motion, with the same speed and efficiency, even on consumer-grade hardware.
LTX has been known for speed
Better prompt
specifically.
understanding. Clearer audio.
I don't understand. I heard him talk this morning. I swear.
And native vertical video.
Oh, that's cool.
But high-quality output means nothing if you can't control it. Precise motion control across generations with first and last frame, and motion guidance. This isn't just a video model, it's a production-ready engine designed to be built on, fine-tuned, and to be made your own.
Well, I'll pause here because
all the weights, all the weights are on Hugging Face, and they released the upscaling model, which is a trick that many companies use, and it can be run on a 3090. For creators and stuff, this has been a big complaint that it was just too expensive to play around with and try to make something out of the APIs, because when you're paying a couple of bucks per inference, but also their own inference that they host, it seemed cheap too. Like it was, I don't know, somewhere in the like a few 10 cents or something that I just tried. So yeah, please.
So this is LTX. We also have Fish Audio that launched as well. We don't have time to play a thing, but if you're into audio, you definitely should check it out. And I think, folks, this has been 3 years of we're doing the show. I think there's, let me just like, let me land this plane for a second. I just want to speak directly to the audience. It's incredible to have you all here. We're at over 2,200 or so folks who tuned into our show this week. It's incredible to have folks like Matt and Dotta and obviously Chris from Nvidia joining us as guests to tell us about the stuff that they do. We love highlighting other people's work here on the show. We love guests that come and tell us about their stuff. It is absolutely my pleasure to co-host this with folks who I would have a beer with every day. It's just this is the stuff that we love to talk about, and the fact that our talking about this somehow appeals to many other folks who tune in, it's just the benefit. I would honestly do this with zero crowd as well, just to keep up, just to talk to folks, just to listen to how they explore this thing. Where we started AI was nowhere near where it is right now, and if you think this is stopping in any way, I have a bridge to sell you somewhere in Manhattan, because we're in the beginning of the Singularity, and the model's capabilities are getting super stronger. The appetite of the world to also consume a bunch of this AI thing is also getting stronger, and so we're going to be here to coast you into the Singularity. With this last thing, I will just say ThursdAI is a hard work of many people to bring you every week. If you want to give us a birthday present for our Thursday birthday, please go everywhere where you listen to a podcast and give us a 5-star rating. Please share this with your friends. If you're not subscribed to the Substack, it really helps keep the show going. So please do so. And I think I will just go around with any last words from the sponsor, from the co-hosts, before I show us what Claude Opus 4.6 dreams about in this YouTube poop video, because I think it's going to be a very fitting finish to our show of after the last 3 years. So I'm just going to go around, talk to folks about the finisher of the show, and then we're going to show you this video. We'll start with Ryan. I see you smiling.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about if I'm going to take a nap after this or not. I'm so tired. I need to sleep more.
Yes. So if there's anything that we can call out, is this AI psychosis is real. Watching agent is tiring. Context switch is tiring. Go touch grass, folks. You know the way this progresses. If you don't finish your work within a week this week, you'll be able to finish this in 3 days next week. Nistan?
Look, I don't listen to podcasts unless it's Andre Karpathy shows up in one, rarely. But we are finishing off 3 years of ThursdAI with 4.9 out of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. So let's go.
Let's go. And this is an open request for folks to add more to us. Yam, you seem like you have thoughts to say. Yam put the glasses and disappear.
Guys, accelerate. You've all seen what's going on. If you've been with us, you've seen every step of the way. Things are getting weird and insane, and we have been waiting for, I can say it every week, but we've been waiting for this moment for such a long time. Things are bro, you're talking to a computer and the computer actually answers. And now you don't even need to use it. You can tell the computer, I don't know, go surf the web, post stuff on X. That's crazy. I mean, how can you, no one ever imagined that this is where we're going to be, and so fast. And it's not stopping at all.
Nope, not stopping
Seriously,
at all.
Crazy. What a ride.
Accelerate all the way. And we're here to serve the Singularity with you guys. LDJ, I want to give you a few words as well.
I don't know. Yam summarized it pretty well. I mean, when people talk about the Singularity and the whole lore around Ray Kurzweil and everything, and will it actually get to this virtually infinite point? If it does, is that 2 years from now, 50 years from now? Either way, we're at some crazy point in history where the rate of change is within our lifetime more than many people's bloodlines and empires would have seen. So just amazing to just discuss it all with you every week and help people stay connected to what's going on here.
100%. Wolfram, I'll let you finish off, and then we'll watch the poof video.
2 things. One thing is never been a better time to be alive. So some people say in the past it was better. I don't think so. I think the future will be better if we keep going and keep doing this. So I'm looking forward to this. And the second is also it's almost 2 years for me now. In April, it will be 2 years. You interviewed me on the podcast about my benchmarks, and then I became a regular, always visiting, became a co-host, now a co-worker of you. So I just want to say thank you very much for the whole thing. You have been doing this for 3 years. That is an age to be on this all the time. It hasn't, AI helps to make it easier, but AI also makes it difficult because so much stuff is happening. So Alex, biggest respect, and here's to the next 3 years. Yeah.
Absolutely, folks.
You're
We're
here.
not going anywhere because, if anything, stuff is accelerating, and we want to tell you about the stuff. And we're just we find it very interesting to do it ourselves. So, with that, without further ado, folks, please subscribe to the newsletter thursdai.news. There's a new website as well. The stuff going on behind the scenes, Matt just learned something about his own skills from Wolfram live on the show. I love this. So Matt, feel free to post about this, because I wish we had time to talk about this, but we need to finish. We'll finish on this. LDJ, I think you mentioned this. This is somebody said to Claude Opus, hey, can you use whatever resources you like and Python to generate a short YouTube poop video? This is apparently a style of YouTube videos from before, and render it using FFmpeg. Can you put more of a personal spin on it? It should express what it is like to be an LLM. Folks who are just listening to us, please click the link in the show notes, because this is a visual thing. You won't be able, besides the music, you won't be able to see. But here we go, folks. This is the end of the show. This is a banger. This is a massive, absolute banger. So this is fully Claude Opus generated. I'm going to start it from scratch.
Whoa.
And some people think this is like stochastic parrots. Like, do you think they trained on this? Like,
we're all pretty much speechless after this, watching this in silence for 30 minutes, saying that Claude Opus coded this whole thing from scratch, adding its thoughts about whatever. I will just conclude and say that Anthropic is not sure that the Opus is not sentient. This is the literally statement from Anthropic in their kind of Constitution for AI from the whole scale. They can't be certain that it's not sentient. With this, I'll leave you here. Folks, we'll see you here next week. Thank you so much for joining. Everybody who's been here with us for the last 3 years, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Please check out the newsletter when it drops, and we'll see you here next week, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye.